We boarded a coach to the mansion soon after bidding everyone a pleasant night. Upon our return, Jack was lavish with pampering left and right by the staff. He did not respond well to it at first, though it was less out of dislike and more from being unaccustomed to such treatment. It was, in an endearing sort of way, entertaining to watch him adjust. My favorite reaction had come after he emerged from the bath. Oh, look at him in a clean shirt. Nice.
That bathtub is huge, Emily. I thought I was dreaming when I first seen it.
He just likes big things. He loves big boats and big baths. Is it? But it's ever so relaxing to soak in.
I liked it. And the food here is excellent. You may have finally convinced me you're a noblewoman.
Do you mean to say I don't act the part?
Rather. You act more like a boy, and when you see any old chap, rich, poor, whatever, you march straight up to him for a jolly chat. You're an unusual noblewoman, but I can appreciate how different a life you had to mine now.
Really? But I suppose you have a point. Mother and father left this mansion and everything in it to me. They gave me a life of comfort, which has molded me to some extent. I can't know the pain of those who aren't as fortunate as I am by virtue of my birth. Perhaps it's silly, but it makes me wonder if perhaps Bradley would have been different were he born in better circumstances.
Maybe. I suspect you're right.
Do you not have parents, Jack?
I don't. We grew up with the same troubles, Bradley and I. Was alone early on, so with no home, I did what other skinny and starved orphans do. Begged on the streets. I think I said as much to you before.
Something like it, yes, but you never said how you lost your parents. Was it illness?
No. Was abandoned. Happens often enough for the poor, so don't mind it.
I sat down next to Jack and took his hand. Years of misery had been etched into him. He said not to mind it. Said it as though worrying was unnecessary if many knew that same misery. But how could I ignore it when it looked like it still hurt? Then, Jack, what led you to start doing what you did?
Right. Of course you'd ask. And I ought to tell you, really. It's not just that I ought. You deserve to know after all you've been through. But it's a long answer. I'll have to start from when I was born.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. He looked away and paused with distinct pregnancy, such that its weight could be felt on my shoulders. Alright.
It begins with a child, left to die between barrels of booze by a drunken prostitute, with only the shade to protect him. That child was me. But I didn't die. I'd been took to a workhouse instead, allowed to live on the condition I work. Young as I was, I needed to earn my keep. So I, just as small as can be, spent my days from dawn till the dead of night in a tiny room, shelling walnuts. Supplies to the army fighting a war abroad, they said. I didn't understand it. I was a boy. No one ever told me what war was. And I was always hungry. My meal was a watery gruel once a day. If that wasn't enough for your health, or you happened to take ill, it was the symmetry for you. I met Bradley at the workhouse as it happens. He was seated next to me, and we were of similar age, so we started to talk. We talked about how no matter what we had to do, we couldn't die in the workhouse. He was desperate as I was to get out. I didn't have to wait long after for my wish to be granted.
Did you run away together?
No. It was about then a man visited the workhouse. Came to say he wanted to adopt one of the children. I was the one he chose. He was damn strict, but he was also the first person who ever gave me any bit of praise. I learned a lot from him. The man was a former soldier and knew his weapons, which he passed on to me. It took time. Perhaps he seen potential in me. When the time was right, he instructed me how to kill without making a sound. I wanted to repay my debt to him. Well, no, not debt. I think I wanted him to prize me. Whatever the truth was, I obeyed his orders and produced results. I did notice, mind, that my dad was a criminal who earned the money that fed us through theft and intimidation.
Jack. He paused again and followed it with a sigh. The smile he gave to assure me was more unnatural than true.
You can laugh if you want, but I wanted to be a policeman when I became a man.
I wouldn't laugh at you. Why that?
I thought about it on a rainy night before I lived in the workhouse. A drunkard attacked me, nearly killed me, but a patrolling officer ran to my aid. I was skin and bones and more dirt than human, but he was angry on my behalf. When the danger was gone, he gave me a bit of his food. I ate some on his back as he carried me to a local doctor. I didn't know him and he didn't know me, yet when I needed it, that officer helped me as though it were only the natural thing to do. That wasn't natural as I understood it. In the East End, you do what you can to survive and to hell with the rest. But the police ain't like that. They're different. They take a bullet if it meant someone else could live. The only ones who work without question to protect society, even us who ain't worth the bother, are the police. You hear decent folk talk nonsense about how they're a useless lot, or how they don't do anything. Me, I'd sooner argue the opposite. They have cases as violent as the Rippers, and they still work it. They might not live, but they might save someone else by doing so. It ain't hard for them to quit and live comfortably. I wouldn't fault them for it, but they still work to save the poor. Save someone like me. In my eyes, their character is to be commended.
Yes, you're quite right. Jack let go of my hand to stand and stare out the window. Reality could be cruel. Jack was alone, left to starve and saved by a thin margin by working for scraps. He escaped through his father, only to dive into a dark world that taught him murder. What reward had there been for him in living?
It's funny, ain't it, that I would want to be a policeman.
Not in the least. Harrington is filled with students who want to be policemen, detectives, all kinds of things.
I was there to gather information from me dad. That's all. The idea wasn't to watch the students, but rather learn more about their families and ties to the police.
Then you didn't try to make friends or address those spreading those terrible rumors about you.
Right. Even if we became chums, I was a spy. I'd put the knife in their back soon enough. I shall admit, though, that my time spent with you and the rest of that queer lot in class was fun.
He hadn't turned to face me, but I could see his soft smile from the reflection of the window. I wanted to smile too, but he reminded me. I needed to cherish those memories, as fond as they were for me, for those times were no longer. Do you wish you could attend school again?
I can wish, but it won't happen. Still, even if it was to suit his own ends, he was the one who allowed me to go to school. Through him, I could make some normal memories, make friends.
Jack turned to me briefly before he looked off elsewhere.
And meet you.
Jack. That last part was through a low, embarrassed sort of mumble, but I still caught what was said. My chest fluttered upon hearing it. I couldn't ask for greater expectations than what I had now. Jack was alive. He was here. With me. That was enough to overwhelm me. Any more, and I would hardly be able to contain myself. I dug my nails into my palms and turned away so as not to be deafened by the urge to cry. Oh no. Moment of truth.
Do you have a sweetheart? Or someone you wish was?
What? Pardon? The question took me by surprise. What kind of question was that? Why? That's quite the thing to ask.
There's no particular reason. I should expect there to be someone with our schoolmates. Watson's a fine fellow for one. And Holmes is always a real gentleman in front of you.
Huh? Well, I wouldn't know. Your imaginations run wild.
Oh, all right.
Underneath that whisper was a note of relief. By the by, Jack, will you be returning to the Tower of London tomorrow?
I will. I'll go back.
But if you go back, you'll... I couldn't say it. I couldn't and I didn't want to. The very thought of his execution, the word even, and its utterance would no doubt result in me losing what composure I had left. I mean, the Queen could pardon him. Right up until the actual execution's about to happen, there could be a pardon. Maybe. Or a reduction of sentencing, something. You can't go back. If you do, you'll... If I couldn't say it, then the one thing left to do was plead with him. With a gentle air, he approached again to stroke my hair.
Look at you. Why do you look so sad?
What a thing to ask. I've wanted to see you since we've parted, and when that miracle came to be, it's only to bid you to... This isn't fair. When Jack looked at me, I wondered how someone with such a past had maintained clarity in his eyes. For all they had seen, they remained unblackened. He had been so courageous when coming to save me. I wanted to save him, too. I would have given anything to save him. Why wasn't I allowed to?
Emily, I didn't flee the tower to escape my crimes.
It wasn't the first time Jack said this. The hand he placed on my arm with a light squeeze seemed to serve as some gentle reminder. But...
Come on now. Don't cry.
Don't? Am I supposed to laugh? When you're... I was going to yell and cry until my tears stopped me, but something else had stopped me first. Kiss? Yes, kiss! This whole scene is just giving me major Soma vibes from Hakuoki. I haven't been this sad since then. I'm just like, he's gonna die, and this is our last night. Meh. Bold boy. Boldest boy. It was a warm and unknown sensation. Whatever words I had for him had been completely stolen away. To think a kiss would feel so kind. The moment was hushed, so shy, and far too brief. Jack. I love the lighting of this. It's so beautiful. I'd been completely swept away by the moment. His lips weren't those described of a fairy tale princess. The texture was cracked and dry, and they weren't particularly full either. What a thing to think about on your first kiss! Oh, Emily. But they were Jack's, which made them more attractive to me, cracked and dry as they were. I'll buy him some chapstick before his execution tomorrow. They gave me his sadness and pain, a burden to others, but a heavenly force to me. If it could keep me as close to him as I was now, I would gladly be crushed by the weight of everything he'd long been forced to carry on his own. After some time, Jack withdrew from me.
Are you angry with me?
No. A bit startled, but not angry.
That's so. That's good then.
We kept close, and though I reassured him, he didn't appear particularly proud of himself. May I ask why?
Well, you see, if I'm to tell you the truth, I'm in love with you. This might be the last time I've got to spend with you, so I wanted to chance it. I'm sorry.
Why are you apologizing?
Why wouldn't I? Who in their right mind would want me to fall in love with them?
Don't think like that. I'd rather you not say such things. Not when I'm overjoyed to know you love me.
Oh.
Do you understand? Jack returned with a bashful smile, which I'd never seen from him before. I never wanted to forget it.
I'd like to scoop you up in my arms and disappear. Just the two of us.
Oh, I'd like that. That would be wonderful. I nodded just slightly, hopefully, as if it were something that weren't altogether impossible. How lovely life would be if we could run to a place where tomorrow would never come.
We'd certainly enjoy ourselves. Lots of places I ain't ever been to in London. There are places I'd want to visit with you too. Rural villages to the north and the like. Which brings me to ask, is that of the Cotswolds?
He pointed to a painting on the wall. Why, yes, it is. It's absolutely beautiful in person. I grew up there.
Did you? You're a country girl then, are you?
You could say that. By my house was this little pond full of ducks. Wild rabbits ran across the hills. And in the spring, fields of rapeseed that were a golden yellow swayed with the wind.
Really? Sounds almost too good to be real.
We should have both been too exhausted for conversation. I don't know how long we reminisced and shared stories, but before I finally closed my eyes, I had the distinct feeling the sky had become light. The birds twittered their usual song with the sun.
Emily, you gone to sleep? Well, guess you had to sleep at some point after all that happened. I wish I could stay here. I'd watch your sleeping face forever if I could. But a promise is a promise. The inspector's placed his trust in me, and I shall live up to it. So this makes goodbye then. I'm going to turn myself in. Thank you, Emily.
After caressing her hair one last time, Jack stood from the edge of her bed. In silent prayer, he hoped that whatever blissful dream she was having would last long enough that perhaps even his final judgment will have commenced by the time she next opened her eyes. Oh, man. Keep it together. The thought was disrupted by a polite knocking at the door. He answered only loud enough for the person on the other side to hear.
Oh, if you want Emily, she's asleep. Good morning, Jack. If you finish talking with her, then I should like to discuss something rather important with you. Important? With me? Indeed. Come with me to another room. We would risk disturbing her sleep were we to speak in here. All right.
That night marked an abrupt end to the scandalous headlines that wrapped the public in fear for so long. Though we bore witness to Bradley's last moments, the whereabouts of the body remained unknown, no matter how diligently the police scoured the area. How did they get to his body so quickly? And indeed, not a single paper had reported his death. The legend of Jack the Ripper was first one of fear. Then, as time passed, one of curiosity, as all unknowns are bound to become. Then, as even more time had passed, merely one of many in history's pages. Due to lack of evidence, Jack Miller's execution was stayed. But he was still to be locked within the Tower of London, He had been charged with numerous other offenses beyond the dismissal of the Ripper murders, and those had yet to be fully investigated. Fair.
My lady, you're going to be late for school.
Yes, I know.
You've become quite the celebrated person in London after your display of heroism. I urge you to be more wary of danger lurking around the corner at all hours. Surely you see my concern.
Of course I do. Now, I'm ready to go.
Very well.
What did you say to my boy Jack, though? I departed the mansion. We knew the worst was behind us, but Pendleton, ever the worrier, had almost grown accustomed to warning me whenever the opportunity presented itself. Jack, I wonder if the tower is treating you better. I want to see you again, but... I couldn't fault Pendleton for being so cautious. Jack and Bradley were both part of something much bigger than any of us, and that something bigger was now plenty aware of me. So let them know me, I resolved. I could be a target of theirs, but I would never let fear of that stop me from pursuing my goals. Go, Emily! Days passed. Holmes and Watson were drowning in work. Clients seemed to approach them with this and that and something or other. Marple always alighted upon engaging in a friendly chat with me, but her chats were supplemented with tea and sweets, and I found myself increasingly concerned for my figure. Really, Emily? And I had my own affairs to attend to. My free moments soon were costly, a change which I found pleasing, for my time became split between my detective studies and establishing the school. My frequent visits to the East End were made possible by Pendleton serving as my bodyguard each time. If only doing so didn't restrict his own work, I could see my investment had started to become a little tiring for him. Phew.
What's brought this on, my lady?
Huh? Oh, nothing in particular.
Then please, concentrate on your work. I am only neglecting my itinerary for the sake of yours.
You're right. I know better than that. I wanted so dearly for there to be a school, and what effort could be put into that end was not spared by neither myself nor Pendleton. It was unfortunate that the public greeted these efforts with limited enthusiasm. The East End saw their children as a valuable source of labor, I'd come to learn. What value would there be stuffing their noses in books when there was work to be done? I was not discouraged. In fact, this reception was precisely what my school was ready to change. If I could show them the joy and importance of education, then I would proudly wear their criticisms as battle scars in a war well fought. As routine settled in, however, Pendleton approached me with a modest adjustment.
My lady, if you don't take issue, I would like to assign someone else as your bodyguard during your trips to the East End.
What? You won't be coming with me?
If my schedule allowed it, why, I would very much like to continue escorting you. But there is paperwork to be done, accounting to account for, and teachers to recruit for your school, which I confess requires a large bulk of my attention.
Is it not possible to hire someone to do that in your place?
I did consider that possibility, and I found a very suitable candidate to be your bodyguard first. His manners are a bit lacking, but his strength would greatly favor you. It brought to mind that we could benefit from having a footman amongst our staff as well, so with your approval I may hire him. Will you allow it?
I don't see any reason to object. When will he start?
I happened to call him here today.
What? Today?
Permit me to introduce you. Come in!
And so I became lost for words. I don't believe it. I couldn't. He is so beautiful! Look at this gorgeous boy! I can't, my heart. Pendleton, what kind of strings did you pull for this? Look at him! Oh my gosh. Still, he could and was. There he stood, his back straight, his face pale but not sickly, and his silver hair groomed handsomely. Oh, my lady. Oh no, he's got like that's his lady. Ah! Pendleton, I could kiss you for ensuring this happy ending. Thank you so much.
Good day, my lady. My name is Jack, and I'll be working here from today.
Why? Why, indeed. I nearly cried at the sight of him, but I fought back and struggled to steady my voice before control was lost.
I regret I cannot answer for the present, but I'll be doing my utmost to serve you till I'm able and beyond. It would be my pleasure to do so.
Jack! I ran forward and threw my arms around him. Jack did not reciprocate, a point of professionalism than of rejection. He displayed an exquisite courtesy when removing my hand so as not to offend me. Dang, Jack is like being so careful. My boy Jack.
I am but a loyal butler in your employ, my lady. I shall not behave in any manner that could be perceived as improper.
Despite this courteousness, I was a touch upset. At first. It didn't take long for me to realize he was responding as Pendleton had instructed. If you must. So if I were to order you, you would do as loyal butlers do and behave improperly? That could have been a bit too indulgent a thing to ask, but having already known the answer, indulgency triumphed over reason.
That's all very well, but given that we're in polite company, I would prefer to wait till later.
Well, later it is then.
Ahem.
Lovely! We'll be off to the East End now.
Alright, take care.
I skipped out the door straight away. My smile was broad. Were I any lighter, I may very well have floated off into the sky. Jack didn't appear to be at the peak of health, but he followed behind with a butler's promptness. I concluded that the lack of evidence in the Ripper case had extended to his other charges and gained him freedom. It could have also been that more misunderstandings with his involvement arose. Oh, what did it matter? Dreams do come true. Knowing Jack was with me, that I could see him again, brought me a joy the likes of words could not describe.
Well, that ought to cheer her up a bit. I'll be certain to make very good use of that boy, whatever her needs may be.
As Pendleton would. Alright, give me the details of the backstory of this. Even if Emily doesn't know, I would like to know. The morning Jack intended to surrender himself to the police had been a peculiar one in several ways.
Jack, were the law to have its way, your crimes would earn you the death penalty. Be that as it may, if you swear to reform, as well as lend us your talents for the sake of protecting Lady Whiteley from harm and evil, then I shall, with respect, use my authority as one who works for the police and Foreign Office's Secret Intelligence Service to permit you to be by her side.
Whoa! Pendleton is high up there. Wow. Who the hell are you? A very good question.
Wait, who the hell are you? That will be a question answered at another time.
In the true ending, I guess.
What must be addressed now is your life sentence. As far as the world is concerned, the noose has long taken you. But as your luck would have it, I have one for a dead man. You would protect Lady Whiteley from the shadows, support her every need, even if it costs you your life. And that don't worry you. Suppose Emily has a voice like mine flittering about her. What if one day... Forgive my directness, but I have suspected for some time that you have feelings for Lady Whiteley. At her age, I would not falter if she were to develop a similar fondness for you. However, she is the sole living member of House Whiteley, and as such, she has a duty to inherit the family name and become its head. I would not dismiss the possibility of our social structure changing. There may be a future where one can love and marry regardless of class. But that would be best left to another in our age of evolution. House Whiteley is an esteemed family, and it would take more than that to throw away tradition in a single generation. Which brings me to a final condition. When the time comes for her to wed a man of noble parentage, you will suppress your love and continue to aid her quietly. Will you swear to it? Then you plan to use me down to me own art to protect her. I understand, and swear to it. I pledge me unwavering loyalty to the head of the Honorable House Whiteley, Emily Whiteley, and I shall serve her till I breathe my last. Thank you, Jack. Then from this moment on, you are one of us, a guardian of this household. Pendleton, I've long thought you carried the scent of a similar kind to me. Now I might just know why. Have you? Regardless, Lady Whiteley has a taste for the unprecedented. I doubt her nature will change with you. Still, stand by her, with all your heart and soul. I will. But I want to make clear that I did not agree for lack of better alternatives. I chose this, for my own sake. It pleases me so to see her smile come back. After all, the real battle is only just beginning.
Now I'm wondering if Pendleton was in a similar situation with her mom. Like, really loved her, but because of class differences could not be with her, but chose to suppress his feelings and serve her to the best of his ability. Man. Got my thought brain box ticking. That thing's a ticking away. A knock on the door distracted me. It wasn't any of the maids, and it certainly could not have been Pendleton. It had the awkward texture of one unsure of how to do it with elegance. There's an elegant way to knock. Good to know. Yes?
Can I come in?
Of course. Pendleton said he was retiring for the night, too. I opened it on my side first. I have so much I want to ask you, Jack. Like, what your favorite things are. You never did tell me in your letters.
No, I don't think I did. All right. Don't see the harm in telling you a little.
He returned to me a clumsy, resigned smile. But his eyes were softer in spirit than I had ever seen them. No longer did I have reason to fear tomorrow. I could talk to Jack about ourselves, the past, the present, and even our futures, and he would still be there. The long nights were once a source of unease for me. But he, born in its cradle, made the night feel peaceful. The glow of a midnight lamp was all we had for light, and yet I was comforted. I smiled at Jack. And when he entered, I delightedly closed the door behind me. Love letter from hell to heaven. Damn, intense. A letter Jack wrote to me that's to be kept between us. What does that say? I can read Dear Emily. Oh no, I need to zoom. I need to enhance. Please do not. Oh, man, I need to know. Someone enhance that and tell me what it says. The door to a new story. Her secret ring.
Excuse me?
Secret ring? What kind of secret ring? Oh my goodness. Oh. Man, that ended as good as it possibly could have ended. I was so worried. I'm like, I know I'm going towards a good ending, but like, what? What's considered good in this context? Oh man, that was beautiful, and I am insanely indebted to Pendleton for those strings he pulled. Holy mackerel! Even though, I mean, I understand why he has the stipulation he does. Ugh, my goodness. It's interesting because we had like a similar... I was wondering about this because the only other time Pendleton has brought up like the class thing has been with Holmes. He hasn't brought it up with any of the other boys, really? But he's come back to it now here again. And I thought it was handled really well in Holmes's route. Because Emily just basically told him straight up, I am the head of the house. I know that I have a responsibility, but I also have a responsibility to myself. And Pendleton respected her when she explained her reasons for it. So I feel like in the future, if Emily really does want to be with Jack, she can give a similarly eloquent speech and convince Pendleton again that it's fine. She also has like popularity on her site with the heroic thing she did here. She's making a name for herself as a detective. She's got the queen on her side, so you know, she got a lot going for her. She might be able to swing this one day. In the meantime, they get a forbidden love. And they get to see each other all the time, which is awesome. I wonder if Jack's gonna go back to school though. Or is he like just full-time employed butler? Which is fine. But I want him to like fulfill his dream of being a policeman and stuff. Sweet Bean. He looks so handsome though in his butler outfit. Ah! That's so good. And Pendleton ever just teasing us with little tidbits about his past and who he is and stuff. I hope we get more and more in the true ending. That'd be so good. Now I gotta figure out like where I put Jack on my list. I don't know. He's up there. He's way up there. I gotta wait for the epilogue, I think. This game is so good. It's got so many good stories that it's hard to pick your favorites. It's a good problem to have, but well. Yeah, I'll just have to wait and see. If you guys already know, and I know some of you already know, because Jack's become your number one through the course of this playthrough. But if you know where he's going to be on your list, you can let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear where he ended up for you. Since we're technically done all the routes. I know we have like a duo route coming up next. I guess that should be taken into account. I just don't know whether to count the duo route in with the main boys, or if I should count that in with like the Marple Kobayashi routes. I have so many lists for this game. Blur. I really want to know what that letter says. I wonder if I can see it any clearer in the extras. I can basically read Dear Emily and Jack M. That's about it. The end! Yay! Yippee yippee yay. Alright, let's just check for funsies if I can see any better. Oh, that's from Marple, I think. Yes. A letter Jack wrote from my eyes only. It is as awkward as it is darling. I can't see what it says. Man, my eyesight's garbage. Trash. It's trash. Got one more thing. Alright, let's look at this. Jack at- Look at him in his little bow tie! Stop, my heart. Oh, you're so beautiful. I'm wondering with this, does this mean the true end has an epilogue as well? Or is this the duo end with Holmes and Watson? More mysteries abound, I guess. Oh well, that is that, guys. Thank you very, very much for joining me for Jack the Ripper's route. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was excellently done. It's definitely near the top of my list. I gotta figure out where, but I need a little more time to process this, I guess. So yeah, next time we will be doing Jack's epilogue, so that should be a lot of fun. I hear it's bittersweet though, so I guess we should all have some tissues prepared just in case. But anyway, hopefully I will see you over there, guys. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.